very polite and sweet. The rest of you are rude as hell. Clearly, no. Somebody's jaw just dropped. Uh, they haven't met Dr. Hall before. Hi, I'm James Allen Hall. I'm the director of the Rose O'Neill Literary House. There are seats here. There's one here. Come on in. Come on in. And right there in front would be. Don't you want that? I could tell you wanted that seat desperately. Welcome to the senior reading. This is one of my favorite events of the year. I think probably all of our readers are feeling just a little bit of the jitters, so I think an early round of applause will help them. Thank you. And they signed up in an order, so we're going to keep that order. And hopefully they will give trigger or content warnings before the reading. And please keep your phones off. This is now the time to check. Woo, I already did mine. Don't be that person. I've been that person. After the reading, we will announce, my colleague Amber Talianisich, the assistant director of the Lit House, will announce the Student Writing Prize winners and runners up. So stay tuned for that too. All right. Are we ready? Are you sure? Yes. Do you deserve it though? All right. I shouldn't have had the sugar clearly before this reading. All right. So our first reader is Colleen Pogue.
All right. A little off my rhythm. I thought it was alphabetical. So, sorry, short people problems. Okay. So I wanted to go with something that was going to be, I thought, thematically fitting. This is the piece that I read for the freshman reading, but after several several rounds of editing, and it's a bit of a different piece at this point, but I thought it would be nice to bookend the college experience with a piece that has gone through as many transformations as I have. It's titled Stay a While. Let go of all that worries you. Release your bunched up shoulders. Feel your breath sigh out from clenched lungs. Nothing matters beyond the trunks behind you. Feel the soft leaves below cushion your steps. Hear them crackle with each footfall. Notice how the sun shines through the gaps in the trees, speckling the ground in honey gold drops. Why don't you lie down in it for a while? It seems so warm and inviting. Slow down for now. Shut your eyes. You'll have time to move on if you wish. Feel the beams wash over you. Feel them seep into your skin. When was the last time you felt this warmth? Don't try too hard to remember. It doesn't matter now. You have it here. You have it now. You can stay for as long as you'd like. The earth beneath you is soft. The saccharine smell of soil and rot shrouds you in this patch of sun. Stay a bit longer. The leaves will cover you, keep you warm till the sun's heat returns. You can relax here. Finally have a rest from it all. Your green blanket may fade to brown, but it only gets softer with time. There's no rush here, not like there was before. Time doesn't need to be stretched thin. Relish in it. Take as much as you want, as much as you need. Why don't you stay? There's no need to go back. You don't need to wake up anytime soon. You're welcome here. Could you say the same before? This bed of dirt you lie in was made just for you. Why don't you sink in a bit? Settle in, get comfortable. Fall into the soil's embrace. The foxes tucked you in when the sun shied away. How kind of them to keep you in mind. The flies are singing a lullaby. Do you hear them? Just slip off your aching muscles. The worms will find a coat rack. It's so much lighter without, isn't it? Stay a while. The skeletons in your closet will turn to dust, leaving only the one you brought with you. Thank you.
I love how writers mark time by versions of the story or poem that they were working on. That's pretty cool. Next up is Sophie Foster. Please welcome to the mic.
Hi. This is a poem called Thomas Theorem, which is the idea that if we define situations as real, then they are real in their consequences. In other words, the interpretation of a situation causes the action, and this interpretation is not objective. God knows I warm this car seat with my two bads. Granted, nothing's died but the deer on the road, and only the curtains of field block us in on the parkway. Our voices coalesce as last decade nicotine plunging to false soprano. These nights we are dismal and true. Avenging 40 years, we swap heavy-handed grudges. Even hungry as wild beasts, we are glued to road signs. So maybe he makes her the world's best old fashions, but listen, she says, just as he won't do. Keep the souring maraschino cherries on your tongue. Let me turn you, 16 and recessed, to armchair. Young, divorced from discretion, I give the question an answer. Yes. I ask how else you meet the floor but to bend over the steering wheel, on your own soft will. Dog ear the pages of flesh until every wrinkle concaves just right. Urgently. We both are tacitly scalding and sincere, regurgitating the lines about this collusion and fate, reading the signs as mother and daughter. My down the aisle is tenuous, not as bright, cannot reason. From here, we'll always have what we've let go of. Open the door to the car I won't drive and I'll step down. Alienations of our endearment suction the fondness. Tentative, I turn on his football game and boil the spaghetti. Think fast or else it's over and under the table. Hopelessness does not serve me, I repeat, even as I hear the consonants curl hateful off my traitor lip. Eat my words afterward. Evangelizing the stained glass firstborn, I, fevered, read the room with stumbling eyes. Rewrite a high school diary in red glitter gel pen. Thanks.
Hopelessness does not serve me. I need that as a motto, honestly. Next up is V Sharp.
I forgot I was third. Okay. What I'm going to read is actually, it's a little bit off my usual brand. I'm not usually a writer of nonfiction, but this is an essay that really meant a lot to me in my writing journey that I wrote for Professor Abdurrahman's Intro to Nonfiction class last spring. And this is about sort of the grieving process after the death of my grandmother. We called her Mammy, so yeah. I don't think there is an afterlife. Reincarnation, like in Buddhism, feels more correct to me, but even that sounds too vague. I do not think there are ghosts. I am not entirely certain about the existence of the soul. To me, at least in concept, the idea of a long sleep or a peaceful dark is far more comforting. And yet, those months after Mammy passed away, I wished so deeply that I did believe. I wished that I had the certainty of something after death. I wished I could feel the presence of departed loved ones rather than just nothing. A memorial service should probably bring that kind of closure, a chance to talk to others that knew my grandmother, other people that felt the same sadness. It's a structured way to let people grieve together. It should be comforting. But the service was in December, on the cusp of my finals week. My mom apologized for the timing, told me that my aunt requested that the event happen sooner rather than later after my grandmother's death. I just shrugged and rested my cheek on that cold window on the way to the funeral home. It was perfectly nice inside, but right along the side of Ritchie Highway and next to a shopping center. Do you think we could get some donuts? My brother asked me as we leaned against the fence separating the two parking lots, a pause before going inside. Though he had stayed with my grandmother with me when we were younger, he did not remember her nearly as well, being around 5.5 years younger than me. If he felt the same depth of grief as I did, he hid it beneath a layer of very convincing teenage apathy. I cracked a smile. I jokingly offered to buy him some. I imagined hopping the fence with him, ditching the whole thing altogether, but we just waited there for my mom. Inside, the funeral home looked like it could be an office or a library or literally any public place. The colors inside were muted, the lighting was dim, most of the rooms meant for services and viewings were empty. I followed my mother to the room where we would be, noting a waiting room of sorts with a table, couches, television with a golf game playing, magazines, many, many, many tissues. The centerpiece of the memorial service was a portrait of Mammy printed on a poster board, a collage of other photographs on either side of it. On the table in front of the display were piles and piles of bouquets, both from the people who were there and the people that were not. People kept embracing me and apologizing, people who my mother said I met as a baby, people who I did not know in any sense, distant relatives I only remembered hazily. I slipped out after a moment and went to look for a bathroom. I found it in a haze and locked myself in a stall. It was white and clean, marble floors, shiny counters. Soap made the air smell sweet, undercut of disinfectant. I sat down and stared into nothing, my eyes heavy. It was all still fake, I thought. I felt guilty for resenting the service, but there I sat, ill with the mixture of anger and bitterness and tragedy. I felt nothing in the memorial, no ghost or spirit watching over us. There was no joy in talking about my grief, and someone telling me my grandmother was watching over me. She was just dead. She was gone. There was nothing we could do. I went back to the memorial service, found a corner in which to sit with my brother and cry. My mother has her grandparents' Bibles, and yet I have never seen her pray. She has my grandmother's too, and all of them are on the bookshelf next to her bed. She told me that when we were moving Mammy's things out of her house months later, that it helped her feel closer to the departed. I often wondered if there was really something to that, something I ought to find significance in, the key to achieving my closure. However, even though I have keepsakes, I have never felt my grandmother's embrace or gaze upon me from the other side. We went back to her house the evening after the memorial service. I was exhausted. I'd been run dry, stretched out, and on top of everything, pulled from the familiar rhythms of campus. "Why don't you go lay down in Mammy's room?" my mom said to me gently. I protested at first. It felt wrong to be laying in my grandmother's room after she died, like invading her space even though she had been gone for weeks at that point. But exhaustion got the better of me. I laid on her bed. The blankets were frayed and torn from the presence of unregulated cats. They felt rough under my hands as I put one of her knitted blankets over me, laid on my side, closed my eyes. I stuck to the edge of the bed, but everything smelled deeply, intensely of Mammy. And I felt something hop up onto the bed beside me, something warm and weighted pressing into my side. I opened my eyes and I looked to my right. Mammy's newest cat, Maggie, whom I had not met yet, was curled up beside me. She was a fluffy gray thing. Her green eyes were always wide, as if she were alert or surprised. She stared at me, curled flush up against my side. Her body vibrated with the rumble of her purr, though her fur was matted in places from living in an empty house for so many months, since Mammy had first gone to the hospital. I held her close, and I went to sleep. And it felt silly to think, and it still does, but I felt closer to Mammy in that moment than I ever did. There was no ghost or God with me, just a cat. I don't really think that Mammy is with me through her cat, but I do know that she loved every cat she had dearly. My mom even noted it in the obituary. For me, my comfort is not imagining Mammy watching over me or taking care of me after she's gone. If anything, the thought of my grandmother watching my every move is less than pleasant. It is the connection with what she loved in life, I think, that has given me closure. Appreciating what gave her joy makes me feel that same embrace of musty love as when I stayed at her house. My mother gave me a coffee mug that, according to her, I decorated for my grandmother when I was young. It is covered in scribbly drawings and half-legible letters. It was certainly a fitting gift for her. My grandmother, after all, loved a cup of hot black coffee, and so did her mother before her. We keep Mammy's ashes, along with photographs and dried flowers, in a bookcase in the front room of our house. I put that mug there, too. Maybe she can't use it, I thought, but I can remember that she did. I don't particularly like black coffee, but I've been trying to acquire a taste for it. Thank you.
Dee, that was deeply, deeply beautiful. Thank you for that. The kind of closure that we can gain from writing things and also from donuts is really important. Thank you. Next up is Ray Merson. Please welcome.
Hi, everyone. So this is one of my very few first times reading some of my work out loud. Kind of nervous. I wrote this piece. It's called The Garden. Kind of recently. It's based off of the generational differences I feel between my grandmother my mother and I, and it's also based off of the process of healing grief. So kind of thematic that it's following V's piece, and it's just about healing grief through gardening with a loved one and the differences that can come through that. Passed down from my grandmother to my mother to me has been a love for roses. I do not know where this fascination came from, but I do know that without them we feel empty. We cling to them, we cling to something to nurture, something beautiful to watch blossom and grow. The thorns do not scare us. I like the ones with barbs that stick in the skin. My mother speaks to all her plants. She sings to them and gently pets their leaves. I have seen her bring flowers back from the dead and watched as weeds shifted to leave her a path in the garden. My grandmother was similar. Her roses, those precious roses, always bloomed together. No bush was left behind. She recounted family legends as she taught me to trim them, explained the precise care needed to have them come back every year. They both had gardens of their own. This year, my mother has given me my own plot to tend. Next to the old tree in our backyard, we began to plan. 1, no, 2 butterfly bushes, a repurposed table for herbs, flowers to grow from. Make sure those dogs don't eat them. A bonfire for company, fairy lights and solar panels, sun catchers and wind chimes. For the most part, we agree on everything, but still, I remember asking, "Don't pull up those weeds, don't you see how they bloom?" She didn't understand, but still, those weeds and clover and ivy remain in my little patch. I don't garden like my mother. I cannot revive deceased greenery. I do not care if the front of my house blooms the entire shade of a rainbow like my grandmother once did. But like them, I care about cultivating a space, a loving and caring environment for others, for myself, a barrier from the outside world. My plants, those butterfly bushes and flowering weeds, require little care, but they are perfect to me. They bring in butterflies and bees and little songbirds. I can sit and watch my dog bound across the yard, sniffing every new scent his nose can catch. My friends feel safe. My family has sanctuary. In the garden, I watch our generations of roses bloom, the ones my grandmother loved for their color, the ones my mother loves for their sweet perfume, the ones I adore for their barbs that stick in the skin, the ones that can make ruthless people bleed.
What a great last line there too, and I think of the things we write as kind of gardens too that can bring back comfort and hopefully a little more hope than ruthlessness. But yeah, thank you, Ray. That was really beautiful. Next up is Liv Berry.
This is my first time reading my work out loud. As a journalist, we do not often do this, but much like the artist I'm about to talk about, I love a good performance. So this is an op-ed that I wrote for Professor Abdurrahman's class, Common in Criticism this semester, titled, "What Music Really Needs is a Feminine Phenomenon. How can lesbian and bisexual pop stars reshape the industry?" One of my sharpest childhood memories is not my own. Instead of days spent in nature playing Little League sports, I remember Katy Perry, clad in a spiraling peppermint-shaped bra, openly weeping as she climbs an aerial lift that jets her up to meet thousands of screaming fans. This moment is a key scene from Katy Perry Part of Me, a 2012 concert documentary that was meant to follow the pop star on tour, but faced an abrupt shift when Russell Brand, Perry's then husband, divorced her via text during filming. I was obsessed with the film. At age 10, I watched it over and over, hoping that one day I could emulate Perry's onstage bravado in my own life. Pop stardom, for all of its suggested faults, is something that I desperately wanted to emulate as a child, but always felt distant from. I looked at Perry greet a stadium full of fans with tears in her eyes after Brand broke her heart, and I pored over spreads in People magazine devoted to Taylor Swift's dating history, only to wonder why a sphere that felt so feminine, with its glitter and bows and endless cheeky innuendos, was so dominated by feelings about men. If I did not want to subject myself to the terrors of dating men, then how could I ever relate to pop stars? even if I wanted to embrace the fun and frivolousness of their music. Despite the disconnect, I adored pop musicians throughout my adolescence. Carly Rae Jepsen, Beyonce, and Britney Spears still routinely find their way into my Spotify Wrapped. While I love their music, I must project my own feelings onto these musicians, Jesus, in order to bridge the detachment I feel from the feelings that they sing about. Then, something finally clicked in my love for pop music. On September 22nd, 2023, Chappell Roan released her debut album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. Over the course of the prior year, I had enjoyed Roan's singles, a few of which went viral on TikTok, so I sat down to listen to the full album. And I sobbed almost the entire way through. Despite my aversion to men at the time of the album's release, I found myself in a relationship with a goofy, kind man who I stayed with for longer than I should have. On a good day, I could see our future, but doubt always simmered beneath the surface. Chappell affirmed my feelings. It's okay, even liberating, to not be with a man. On her opening track of the record, Femininomenon, Roan sings, "So let's say it's working out, you pretend to love his mother. Lying to your friends about how he's such a good lover. Stuck in the suburbs, you're folding his laundry, got what you wanted, so stop feeling sorry." For the rest of the album, I was in a state of shock that the artist so accurately captured the desperation and frustration of yearning to lead a life that does not focus on men. Roan is not the only pop star who's shifting away from heteronormativity in their music. Renee Rapp, who played Regina George in the 2024 reboot of Mean Girls and has seen massive popularity on TikTok, recently made waves on social media when she publicly came out as a lesbian. Shortly after coming out, Rapp addressed the complications of her music, which she wrote about both men and women now that she identifies as a lesbian. In a TikTok posted on February 7th, Rapp lip-synced to her song Tummy Hurts, which tells the story of Rapp falling in love with a man who leaves her for another woman, and captioned the video, "Writing this, then coming out as a lesbian. I contain multitudes." Rapp's candid and often lighthearted discussion of how she cannot see herself with men despite singing about them is incredibly important, as it shows that pop music can be a space where singers can be open with their identities while still adopting a persona for fans to both relate and aspire to. While Rapp's music leans more into R&B than the bubblegum pop of Roan, she's still able to reach a mass audience while rejecting the notion that pop music should center around a woman's love for a man. That is not to say that up-and-coming pop stars are the first artists to pivot away from heteronormativity. Some pop stars, like non-binary musician Janelle Monáe, have been rejecting the male-centric standards of pop music for years. Monáe's 2018 album Dirty Computer shaped my queer adolescence. The music video for her track Made Me Feel follows Monáe as they bounce between a female and male love interest, singing about a desire that sends her on an emotional, sexual bender. Watching Monáe in the video was nothing short of life-changing for me, who at 15 years old at an all-girls Catholic high school could not conceptualize desire uninhibited by the societal pressure to be anything beyond normal. Although the argument can be made that pop music exists as a reflection of society, and that if there are no queer pop stars, that simply means that there is little demand for them, I cannot believe this to be true. There will always be little girls who pore over the pages of Teen Vogue or scroll through social media as they wonder why they feel so disconnected from— oh, so sorry. I lost my spot. Sorry. Okay. There will always be little girls who pore over the pages of Teen Vogue or scroll through social media as they wonder why they feel so disconnected from what is presented to them as a standard. In their 2021 takedown article of Sapphic Music, the sad, acoustic guitar-driven cousin to lesbian and bisexual pop, NPR writer Emma Madden wrote that lesbianism is a limited form of representation that is rendered even more powerfully through music. Madden went on to quote lesbian music historian Suzanne Cusack, who once noted that music created by queer people, like good sex, reteaches us how to relate to the world, how to have the nerve to open ourselves up to it. Representation, even in a genre that is written off as vapid and superficial, matters. Without Roan's The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, I would not have had the words to describe what I was feeling. That, to me, being with a man was like wearing an ill-fitted suit. Or, in Roan's words, I needed a femininomenon, a complete rejection of men, and embracement of uninhibited, frivolous fun in my life.
Are you sure that was journalism and not poetry? It was so beautiful. Also, I think my new definition of music is an emotional sexual bender. Thank you, Liv. Next up is Delaney Runge.
Oh, there's a lot of people here. Okay. So hi. So as Dr. Hall said, I'm Delaney. So I'm going to be reading two pieces of poetry that I wrote for my eco poetry class this semester. As you may notice, there's not a lot of like the environment in it, so I wanted to thank Professor Hadaway for letting me write whatever I wanted to, as long as it fit the prompt mostly. um, so, and I guess my only warning is it is about things ending. So if that makes you sad, I'm sorry. Um, too many voices can be heard from the stairwell, seeping through the door. In a small common room, there are too many people crowded on the couch. There are too many jokes, too many laughs causing our stomach to ache. Too many lyrics fill the television screen as too many voices crowd the air with singing, talking. A group of people brought together by fate. Some live here in this suite. Too many others do not. There are many of us who have known each other for years, some more years than others. There are too many personalities, too many memories that swirl around as we sit together. As there is too much going on, there is a reality that creeps into the room. Too many moments lost. There is only so much more time. Too much feels just right. And then the end is near. The bells are tolling, telling us that the end is near. A necessary break is almost upon us, as the moments left of gathering together and looking up at the sky are slowly dwindling. Just as each day ends with one final spectacle, our big ending moment, where we walk across that stage, creeps toward us. The days become fuller with ceremonies, events, meals, and readings as we cling to the realities we've become accustomed to as these years have passed. Wine nights, 5:30 dinners, and waving across the square have turned into poster presentations, final concerts, and counting down. As these scenes slip through our fingers, people just want to ask, "Are you ready?" How could I answer them? I do not know how to let go of what I have loved. How can I let go of the people, the work, the place that have formed me into the reflection I see each day? I've been trying to slow down, take the time to look around me, and soak in all the beauty as one does with a piece of art. I long to look at my life like it is a masterpiece because I am so lucky to be surrounded with such love. While there is only so much time, I'm grateful for these moments like none before. Thank you.
I too do not know how to let go of things that I love. That was really beautiful, Delaney. It helps remind me why I love this event so much, is because there's so much nostalgia and hope together, seeing you all read your work. Next up is Joshua Torrance. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going.
Hello, everyone. Let me whoop. Okay. So I've got two poems for you, and they're shorter than I normally do. So hope y'all enjoy. This one's called Post-Breakup Philosophy. Yeah. I never had anything to lose anyway. When there's no thing, there's a way. A shiver of nurse sharks stirs loose sand on the seafloor as they frolic, free as waves, free as foam, free as hands that need not touch, need not hold on to love. And love is not a thing or a way. It's a question the nurse sharks ask without asking as they curve through water, swim in chorus without aim. And love is a swimming away from where you found footing to where water waits, to where water wakens you to emptiness. Even full, a glass is empty. What I mean is there's no function to it, no destination. Just the glass and the water, drunk or undrunk. Just my heart and my mouth, open or open. I do not know what a nurse shark does, or why they're called nurse, or shark. I know that somewhere, one of them is swimming toward a time it has no sound for. And this last one is called Night Music. Purpose put nowhere. Dancing without shoes in the street. Mud-stained train of a thrifted wedding dress. Diploma in mouth. Empty wine glass in each hand. And hips in silk swinging to the beat. Sun going down and orange like an Aperol spritz. Torn veil tossed in the Arno. No plan, no future. Wearing images like an earth. Spinning and spinning in exact and expanding circles. Thank you.
Joshua, I think Washington College is looking for a new logo, and an empty wine glass in each hand could be the vibe. I'm also glad to see that Taylor Swift has not got the market cornered on breakup poems that are okay. Thank you for that. Next up is Grace Apostle.
Hi, everyone. I want to preface this with first and foremost, I am a journalist. However, tonight I will be reading 2 poems for you. This first one is about how you get the traits from the women in your family. It's called Unknown and Always With. I have a hard time letting things go. The tabs of sitting page after page of thing after treasure that once caught my eye, that I promised myself to own. I got that from my father. My hair, too. The cheekbones and etched freckles are from my mother, though. Incessant need to do everything at once, and nay, a quiet mind ever occurs. My aunt filled my lungs for my loud mouth and distinct laugh, never apologizing for a peep or note. My grandmother chiming in with carbs to my sharp tongue and reply, taunting and teasing, but never demeaning. The sister I always wanted a decade later than expected, fixtured my bones to hold patience I long ago gave up. But she allows love to pour into the crevices in order to create room for dance, because there was always time for dancing in our bones together. These hands have molded me, their voices painting and coloring me full, with hues of blue gloom, fire truck red running my veins with vigor stubborn, and a deep lavender only shown for the truest of loves. They made me. One day I will have the smile lines ingrained in my mother's skin, tattooed to show a lifetime of love. I will have the weathered and working hands of my grandmother who sewed in hems kiss my ankles as I walk the worn footpaths of theirs before me. I'll never miss their steps. I'll do right by them, the lovely ladies who made me. I tend to have a hard time letting things go, shaking them off. These women won't be shaken. They won't be forgotten. They live in me and through me. I was made in her likeness. Thank you. And then this is just kind of an ode to everything being so full circle, and we are, one another at Washington College. This is called Keepsake, Keep Safe. Flower bouquets and red Solo cups, cutting bangs at 5 p.m. on a Wednesday in your first apartment's kitchen, taking one last Polaroid before heading to that ridiculously themed party, memento after memento in a massive keepsake box. I walk home as the birds rise, beckoning a sun that is yet to greet. Yet, there is also the great waves of strength standing hand in hand, solace and solemn, but impeccably proud to hold the same passions, the same fights. We are power, and we are drought, thirsty for a change that only we can make. It is only in a shared semblance that we shall drink from that well of change. Get it done, but do it hand in hand, roots planted. We are a culmination, a meld by meld of all the things and people we love. By God, to be loved truly is to be seen. And because of this, my, what a person I have become, my, what things I have done, for you have been to and for me. Thank you.
Wow, to be loved is to be seen. I hope that your relatives see that reading so that they will know how much you love them too. That was lovely. I was made in her image. Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna need a volunteer who knows how to work a camera. All right, so Grace, would you take Dante shouldn't have to take pictures of himself reading. So our next reader, Dante Chavez.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for organizing that. I was not sure how that was going to work. Tonight I'm going to read 2 poems. One's an old classic, and one is kind of something I've been working on, so you can kind of get a peek of inside my notebook. The first one is Conversation Between Me and My Stone Paper Notebook on a Roadside Farm. Can't we just stay here, under this tree, for a little longer? Retreat from that relentless world in Chestertown's panic room, just a few miles from campus? Couldn't we just collapse and weep beneath this willow forever? Or at least until our tears drain, then dissolve us, then water this pond beyond us? What if we stayed here and buried ourselves under the dirt, let the ticks and mosquitoes buzz over, burrow under our skin, explore our bodies to their tiny stomachs' content, or stuck ourselves up in that tree, strings attached to both shoulders, like retired marionettes? Let the crows take turns pecking at the spines, barely holding us together. Or maybe to our ankles, so they can shake us for everything we're worth. Would it really be so bad to stay here and wait for this world to take us in? Let it sink its fangs in again, like a fevered lover, of our blood, our entrails, all our contents, leaking out, eventualizing a final feast for this world to devour. Or maybe just take a dip in this perfect still pond, never come out again, hand ourselves over to the bacteria to burp out when they finish with us. We can sync our final bubbling croaks up with the frogs. Maybe then we could finally be just as silent as this moment. Why not just shut up and end here? Haven't we written enough of our story? The constant inconstancy of that world. It gets to you after a while, doesn't it? Or is it the other way around? Do you get a hang of the ride after a while, only for it to buck you off your high horse, like a jealous rival jockeying for reposition? Aren't we tired of trying to figure that out? Wouldn't it just be easier to let this world break us apart already? Can't we just stay? No, we can't. Because even now it creeps back in. That relentless world is my world. This is someone else's farm. I have to leave eventually. My car is low on gas. I need to refill my tank. My phone is dying. I'm going to charge it now. Even you, phony you have to admit you're not as fragile as you think you are. It's not up to you to decide how we come undone. I have to go back because the world might be out for our blood, but it's my job to decide how much we bleed for it. Thank you. And this is my new one. It's kind of exploring nostalgia. This is called Would I Write on a Milk Carton Ad for a Missing Childhood Friend? I think I lost my childhood friend. We used to play Lego Batman in the basement. The noodly carpet caressed our stomachs. We were all too enamored to put our shirts back down. He was Robin, I was Batman. obviously. So maybe he's out somewhere in red and green spandex, looking for his own Joker to complete him. We drank Sunny D and ate almond windmill cookies. The tang of the not quite orange juice overriding the delicate nuttiness of the cookie. Too innocent and indulgent to appreciate the subtlety in the almond. So maybe he could be somewhere finally returning to that treat, honoring it with well-earned flowers for its flavor. Have you seen him, perhaps tangled up in branches of an old oak tree, triumphantly basking in his conquest? What about doing flips on a trampoline whose springs have long since rusted and warped? That or monkey bars long weathered and peeling. Not even rushing through one more arithmetic test in an abandoned classroom waiting for that final bell? No? If found, let him know I miss him. But don't tell him where I am, because I like those memories buried where no present can ravage him for nostalgia. Thank you.
And another round of applause for our photographer. Thank you, Grace. Dante, that was really cool. I love the Lego Batman. And our last reader tonight is Giancarlo Scialati.
So this is a poem I actually wrote for Dr. Hall's poetry workshop class last semester, and it's entitled "The Wall." I've never used a mic before, so this is a new experience for me. Yeah. I am the wall in my childhood bedroom today, light green and unsure, chipped from years of use, painted over in some spots, the thin lines visible if you look. I have tried to be so many other walls, the one at my friend's house, red just to spite myself, the cracked, eerie white stone of my dorm room. But no matter how much paint I have used, it always washes away and I am laid bare.
I feel like after that reading, we're all laid a little bare. The emotions are a little high, and I hope you know how proud we are of those of you who read. Not the other people, just the ones who read. No, really, no jokes. The pride I feel for each of you is just really astounding, and it fills me with great emotion. So that's why this reading is sort of my favorite, because I feel like a proud grandma a little bit. So after we announce the student writing awards, we'd love to get a picture with those readers and also to sign the poster. So to award the prizes, please welcome my colleague Amber Talianicic. Woo. Hi, mic is yours. I will be your lovely assistant.
Thank you. This is what I've always dreamed of. The roles have changed. I won't take too much advantage of it. Hi. So we are going to announce the runner-ups and the winners. The winners get money. The others get books. The winners also get books. So some prizes. All right. Dr. Hall said I could do this however I want it, so I decided to be really cheesy about it and dramatic, so we're going to open envelopes. If I really wanted to go all in, I should have made Professor Kesey write me horrible jokes. Instead, you just get mine. So, all right. Now I'm going to read what Dr. Hall wrote before I stole this job from him. So we're going to start with the Warner Prize. The William W. Warner Prize for Creative Writing on Nature and the Environment is awarded to the Washington College undergraduate who shows the greatest aptitude for writing about nature and the environment. The prize is named for and was endowed in the honor of William W. Warner, author of the Pulitzer Prize-winning book Beautiful Swimmers, Watermen, Crabs, and the Chesapeake Bay, based on his experiences living and working among crab fishermen on the Chesapeake. According to Mr. Warner's wishes, the judges give preference to, but in no way limit their consideration to, students who write about the natural history of our Atlantic shore, from the Canadian Arctic to the Gulf of Florida. The winning piece receives a cash prize of $500. It was judged by the Lit House assistant director, who is me. And so, let's open our envelope. Let's see who it is. I'm so excited. All right. The runner-up is Dante Chavez for conversations between me and my stone paper notebook, which we got to hear today. So that was lovely. And the winner is Morgan Carlson for interpreting birdsong. Is Morgan, do we have Morgan here? Fine, that's okay. We'll just get to party later. All right, thank you. Okay, so next, the Literary House Genre Fiction Prize is awarded to a Washington College undergraduate for the best work of science fiction, fantasy, mystery, or horror. The winning entry receives a cash prize of $100. This year's entries were judged by the Lit House director, Dr. Hall. I'm pleased to announce that, oh, that was weird. You said, okay. I kept reading what you wrote, and I forgot that I get to open the envelope. For the next one, who do we have? All right, the runner-up is Nora Sayak for Snow. Nora? I think there's a person running. Nora, yay! Congratulations. And the winner is Joshua Torrance for their Dear Clem. Yay! Congratulations. All right, and for the last one, the Pfister Poetry Prize was created through the generous donation of Jude and Miriam Pfister in partnership with the Academy of American Poets, one of our country's most important literary organizations. It carries a $100 cash reward, and winning poems are considered for publication in American Poets, the Academy's biannual journal. I don't believe that Jude and Miriam are here, but maybe they're watching on the stream, so we'll still say yay. Hi, thank you. And this year, the judge was the associate director for the Lit House, Professor Roy Kesey. So, here we go. Oh no, I was doing so well. All right. And the competition was very tough, so Professor Kesey chose 2 runners-ups. So we have Sherry Swain for The Last Suite. Yay. Okay, yay! Joshua Torrance, you get 2 books. I don't know. No, we'll get you. You don't. We'll get you something else. But that was for the poem, their poem, "The Furies," and then the winner is Carl Townsend. For "It's My Birthday and I Was Gifted a Life-Size Plastic Skeleton." It's my birthday, and I was gifted a life-size plastic skeleton. Yay! All right. I'll take my garbage now. Thank you. Let's give another round of applause to all of our readers and our winners and our runners-ups. Thank you for sharing your words with us, for everybody who read, and for writing. Like, it takes a lot of courage, one, to be a writer, to follow this path, but then to also get up here and bear it all to people that you know and love and people you don't know. So thank you for being here and supporting everyone.